Merry Christmas! Part 2 of Christmas tree coming your way. I was feeling Christmassy, but truth of the matter is, this isn't great for painting. It's going to get in my way. So it's gone. And in its place, just a silly old apron. So in today's video, we are going to add snow to the background trees. Add a few little Christmas decorations and a little sparkle to the Christmas tree. Add snowflakes falling. And then we're going to add the fairy lights. So it's going to be fun. So for adding sort of clumps of beautiful snow stuck to the branches, I like using a filbert brush, which is a rounded on the top, like that. Make sure you get lots of paint, both sides of your brush. Just a quick word before you get too far along. You really need to overload the brush because you don't want it to look too transparent. You want a clump of white, like it's the clumpy snow sitting on the branch. That's the trickiest part. If you don't overload the brush and load the brush quite often, you're not going to get that clumpy look, and it's not going to look like snow. The other thing is to not make it too predictable and uniform. Just like hopefully your branches are not too predictable and too uniform, because that's not how nature is. Now when I get to the top, I don't want quite as much on my brush. So again, you're not trying to cover every little bit of green. And this is a different brush than your fan brush, so you don't want to lose all that beautiful work you did with your fan brush. Not quite. It's kind of like, again, you're augmenting. You're not detracting or trying to take away. It's going to take away, obviously, some of your fun stuff, but you're just sort of trying to create interesting patterns visually and have those branches look like they're hanging a bit heavy with snow. One of the tricks is people tend to like do a branch here and a branch here, and it all just looks like an M shape across. Make sure you do some kind of just clumps in the middle as well as branches going off to the side. Otherwise it's going to look weird. Like a normal tree doesn't just have branches going that way and that way. It'll have some coming this way as well. So you have to get some of the look of the front branches potentially covered in snow, and then do some out to the side as well. But if they all just go out to the side, it will look a little strange. Just another little hint there for you, if you're just learning. And aren't we all learning? You never really arrive when you're talking about art. Art is personal and art is a journey. No one ever thinks they're doing it perfectly or wonderfully, or it's all just a learning process. Next thing I'm going to do is 100% optional, but I thought I'd show you anyway. I'm taking a bigger, this is a filbert. It can be flat if you would rather. Flat one would work just as well. But I am going to use a different kind of white. I have what's called zinc white. And the only difference between zinc white and regular white of paint is basically zinc white is already transparent without having to add water to it, because I don't want watery paint at this point. But I want this to be a little less textury looking. I want it to look a little smoother like snow. And I'm just going to smooth it out visually by adding zinc white on top, a thin layer of zinc white. So not going to overload the brush. I'm going to the brush was damp, work the paint in there, and then I just have zinc white. So I'm basically going to add that layer of zinc white onto the ground. So I think this is covering up all the work I did to put all those shadows in the snow, but it's not covering it all. You'll see when it dries, you're still going to see those, but you're not going to see them quite as drastically, because I just find that they're a little bit much, especially since I don't want to divert the attention too much to the snow. I want it to be a place of kind of resting for your eyes. So I just want to lighten it a little bit. Already you can see it just looks more like snow now than it did, right? And I love zinc because it's transparent. I don't have to worry. I can just kind of slap it on there, and I know it's not going to cover all the nice work I did. It's just going to soften all of those details and all of those edges. So I'm really fussing with this painting and wanting it to be extra special. So there's lots of things I'm doing that are optional. So for example, I've got these little icy blue beads, and I just thought they would look really pretty on my Christmas tree. I'm literally going to decorate it, but I have to put the painting flat and put some clear gel medium on it, and then that will glue those down. And I don't have my overhead camera hooked up, so I'm just going to tilt this back and do that, and I'll show you the finished result when I'm finished. Just a quick note, thanks to my artistic easel, I can put this in pretty much any position I need it to be. So I just want it to be level so that I can get the beads to stick on with my gel medium. So I don't need a lot of gel medium. It dries completely clear, gel medium. It looks white, but it dries clear. So not a one of them fell off. It's all good. I'm quite happy with how they look. It's great. So the other thing I did when I put those beads on, I also put some shimmer. Now I hardly ever use glitter because typically it seems a little tacky to put glitter in fine art, but it's Christmas. So now I was thinking of putting some balls on the tree. I'm going to mix a little bit of a bluey purple, so I'm going to use the tiniest bit of deep magenta. Any magenta will be fine. Then I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine blue in with it because I want to keep the blue theme. I don't want to deviate too far from blue. So I'll basically kind of half and half, and then I'm going to put a ton of white in it because I want a really, really pale bluey purple. You can get something like this in many, many places. If you don't have it, you can freehand it. I like my circles to be very circular. The perfectionist coming out in me. Circular circles are good. So just putting that wherever I feel like and whatever size I feel like, I'm just going to do. And you'll notice that you won't really see these very bright. You wonder what I'm doing? I'm just putting a little purple in the shadows here and there, just so that's not the only purple in the whole painting. That's just like painting 101. You don't want a color in just one spot. So now that I've thrown glitter on my painting, I'm gonna also throw some snow on my painting. So if you've seen my tutorials before, you've probably seen me make snow or stars this way with an old toothbrush. And you mix quite a bit of water in with white and stir it up really good, mix it really good. Get your toothbrush full-ish, but not too full. So usually what I do is I get a bunch on it, then I hold it in my left hand. With your right hand, you put your thumb there and your index finger, you're going to use it to pull the bristles towards you. I do a couple of those onto my palette first because the first time or two you do it, you sometimes get bigger clumps, which I don't want. Okay. And then I'm just going to go like that. And you're going to load it again. Again, do one or two on your palette. And load it again, do 1 or 2 on your palette. Load it again. Creates a snow scene. So I think all that I have to do left to do is add the lights. So I'm going to take you for a close-up before I do that. So here's the painting. And you see the snowflakes and the trees. And you see that zinc white has left lots of shadows still on the snow. And you'll probably can see that the tree has got glitter on it. and some purpley Christmas balls. So now I have to let this dry, and then I have to poke holes in it and add the fairy lights. Stay tuned for that. So the next step is a little scary. We're going to use an awl, very sharp. We're going to poke holes in that Christmas tree. I'm going to put a few extras right at the top to make a star out of the lights. And I've only done this once before, so do check the last video I did using fairy lights. It was an experiment which kind of succeeded and kind of failed in my mind. So this time I'm a little smarter, a little wiser. So instead of just putting one hole and then one hole and then one hole and then doing this, like very basic sewing in and out, that means then those big wires are everywhere on the front of the canvas, and I didn't want to see those. So I'm just going to put two little holes very close to each other, and I'm going to sew the light through and anchor that light just in that spot from the back of the canvas. So I never thought I would have a tutorial where I'm poking holes in a canvas. Like, who knew? It feels actually kind of good. It's like you're getting your aggression out and you're just like stabbing that canvas. You know, it wasn't cheap canvas to buy. Round canvases, they're not really common and easy to find. But you know what? I know this is going to work. I know it's going to turn out because I tried it once and it's all good. And we're just going to see what happens in the finished product. And I wanted to say thanks. Thanks for being here. And if you haven't subscribed, a reminder to please do that. Help me get closer to monetization. That would be awesome sauce. And next we're going to do the lights. So that'll be fun. Stay tuned for that. So I'm going to just do a quick video of me putting in the fairy lights. And I'm going to speed it up a lot because honestly, it's just sewing and I don't want to bore you to tears watching me sew in and out. So I'm getting there. I'm about halfway, and I'm reminded of why I don't like sewing and I don't really love crafts. But I think the effect is going to be good when I get the lights all the way up to here. You light up my life. I'm dating myself by singing that song. So there we have it. A beautiful painting that lights up for Christmas. So, the final result. So much fun. It's great to try new things. It's great to be creative and to nurture that in one another. And that's what I try and do here on the channel. Inspire you, give you ideas and get your creative juices flowing just a little bit. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with me all the way through this painting. It was a lot of hours of footage. So I did distill it down, but just so you know, if you're watching, you can always speed up the video or you can put it half speed because YouTube lets us do that. So anyway, I wanted to thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if there's any other kinds of Christmassy paintings that this might be cool in, and you can inspire me. So peace and love to you. Until next time. Bye-bye.